bit more surprised you would have been to work for me before.
Yeah, I was trying to get by on my own.
Didn't want to get your hands dirty until you had no choice. Huh? Come to me when it's convenient. I'm just joking, mate. You show tickets, or what?
Sure, yeah.
Right. And you want me to take this? The big stolen truck. And you get something small, something treat you can make on it. There.
No.
So I get to heat it.
No.
Why let you keep it?
I don't know what to, don't know how.
What's stopping me just taking it from you? No clue. It's what you...
Going to be a soft or a firm touch, or perhaps even just whatever I've never seen.
Out somewhere, think that if a care home provider is unable to get staff, then they can't take people, obviously. So they're bed blocking in hospital.
Yeah. Well, I remember when my mum was in hospital. She was in hospital for 2 weeks before she died, and then 3 weeks at home, and so in the last 5 weeks of her life, basically. And when we were talking to a fabulous consultant, we were saying, look, we want her home. If this is, if there's nothing more you can do here, if you can explain to us what you're clinically doing here, then fine, of course we'll cooperate with you. But if we're just looking at the end, we do not want it to be in this room with all of that horrible noise and, seagulls pecking at the windows and God knows what in the hospital at the time. And she understood completely, and she said, look, we're not there yet, but when we get there, the problem is going to be carers. And I just remember thinking, absolutely not, surely not. After all the work we've done to keep my mum at home, she's not going to die in the corner of that bloody room just because you can't get the carers to come to the house. Absolutely not going to happen on my watch, you know what I mean? And she explained very clearly how it was just impossible to find people.
Yeah, we need to have it underlined that if we can get people to fill these vacancies, they are actually doing us the favour. It's not being a matter of
it's a mutual exercise, isn't it? It's a mutual exercise. Opportunities for them and solutions for us.
Yeah. Another point I would also like to make in terms of filling vacancies is that a lot of work can now be done on a working from home basis, so that a lot of people that would maybe struggle to go in and out of an office, if they can be facilitated to work from home, then a lot of people that are currently sitting on benefits at the moment, they're not in trouble with work. It's that they maybe find travelling and commuting to an office a struggle.
That work isn't being facilitated for them, and that's a good point. Thanks, Andrew. Although this text that's just come in is wrong in its... the beginning of it is wrong, because it's something we do talk about a lot. I think it's a very important point to make in the midst of this conversation. Whoever sent it, there's no name, they say, you never ever talk about the many people that have been looking for work for ages and are ignored by employers, probably because of their age. We do talk about that. We talk about it often, so you must have missed those moments. But anyway, it's a very good point that you're making. Why is this? Oh, it just goes on telling me off. Anyway, I'll read it. Why do you keep banging on about the need for immigration when there are plenty of people here looking for work? We know there are, and we know there are plenty of people who, given the right healthcare, would be able to work. Said all that at the beginning of the programme. But you're right about wanting to get jobs, not being able to get jobs, and that problem needs to be resolved without a doubt. And flexibility around how someone works, where someone works, that's all part of that picture. Thank you for your text, even though it lacked a bit of charm. Emily in Bristol. Hello, Emily. Don't tell me off. Don't tell me off.
Oh no, I'm not going to tell you off. Actually, I'm going to warn you. I'm feeling a little bit nervous today. I'm not usually nervous. I'm a very outspoken person, but it's because I'm going to touch on a little bit of personal experience here. But just to answer your question, they asked, pro, anti. At the moment, I'm a bit anti-immigration, and it's because I think that I feel like if people have their heads buried in the sand, so I'm going to just give a really quick a synopsis. So I was training as a psychologist, and because of matters concerning immigration and the Home Office and them reneging on an agreement they had made, I was basically stopped halfway. After working my whole entire life since I was 18, contributing taxes for over 15 years, I was stopped from working. I've had no support. I've not worked for 15 months. I've had not a single benefit, never been a benefit.
How were you stopped from working?
I had an agreement with the Home Office where, because of the nature of my parents' status at the time of my birth and the fact that I then lived in private fostering arrangements, my status was never, I guess, properly, But I'm thinking I'm British, I've got British birth certificate, British, everything is British, but I'm not considered British.
But you were born here.
Yeah. Everyone I come across and people I've spoken to, oh no, you definitely know. According to the Home Office, not according to their stupid laws, but that's not the point today. The point I'm trying to make is there's so much talent in the country, and I hear every day about people's mental health and people can't find, people to work with, and I'm sitting at home doing absolutely nothing when I could be working, and I was working.
That's insane.
And now I get emotional. I told myself not to, but it's really sad. And I work really hard not to get bitter, so that when this is over, I can actually stick to doing what I was doing before. But clinical psychology is on the shortage list, and they want clinical psychologists in the country.
And were you doing that or studying for that?
I was. I was halfway through, and I would love to any of the conservatives that come on your show and want to talk about all their nonsense immigration policies. I need to understand this policy and why I'm in this situation.
Your story is extraordinary, Emily. Do you want us to pick up your story and take it to the government? Because we can.
I would love to. I've not had anybody listen to me. I did speak to my MP, who was very sympathetic and did understand or kind of portray, like, we don't understand why you're in this situation, and we think that
it's utterly insane. See, so when
I'm
you
not the only one.
No, I know you're not. I know you're not.
There's so many people that are in this position, including the Windrush generation children. And I'm thinking to myself, why are you telling people we're on our knees, we need help, come over, when there's people in the country who could be doing these jobs?
Both of those things can be true at the same time, by the way. But your situation is insane. And when you get distressed about it, and I completely understand why you would be tearing your hair out about this, remember that it's insane, not you. It is insane what's happened to you, Emily.
I think
it's insane.
I mean, I'll be honest, if I hadn't had the support that I've had in the last over a year, I don't think I'd still be here.
Oh, Emily, I'm so sorry to hear you say that. Well, listen, shall we get cracking on it and put a call into the government about this situation? If you want us to.
Sorry.
It's all right.
I didn't expect that.
Well, it's such
thank you.
Well, it's such a crazy story. My producer will speak to you once you're off air, and because I mean, from your perspective, it is absolutely appalling. From a journalist's perspective, what you've just revealed is the kind of idiocy and nonsense that comes out of the politics of loathing foreigners. A sort of nationalistic politics produces situations like Emily's. That's what it produces, and badly run departments that are all full of, just full on computer says no, produce situations like Emily is facing. How appalling! A talented young woman, born here, lived here all her life, is made to stop working because her paperwork hasn't been formalised. I mean, seriously. There are barely any words for it, are there? Emily, thank you. She's having a conversation now with our producer, so she'll be fine. and we will return to Emily's story, for sure. It's 2:32 headlines from Tim Humphrey.
A terrorist who stabbed a stranger to death in an attack motivated by the conflict in Gaza has been sentenced to life in prison with a minimum term of 44 years. Ahmed Ali Alid had tried to kill his housemate before prowling the streets of Hartlepool and stabbing grandfather Terence Carney. The Chancellor isn't making any guarantee taxes will definitely come down if the Conservatives win the general election, but Jeremy Hunt's repeated his intention to scrap national insurance altogether if it's affordable, although Labour's wondering how that can be achieved. A temporary pier built by the US is now up and running off the coast of Gaza. If operations run smoothly, the floating structure could receive 150 extra trucks of aid a day. And we're just hearing that Plaid Cymru has ended its cooperation agreement with the Welsh Labour government with immediate effect. LBC weather, sunny spells and showers. Those could be heavy in Scotland, a high of 20 degrees.
LBC. When Brian and Sheila from Worthing sold their car with Motorway, they got more money. They then used that extra money to buy a camper van so that their dog Bruce could enjoy a lot more nature. Bruce, come here, boy. So, Bruce, are you happy your owners used Motorway? Oh, Bruce, you can't use language like that on the radio. Sell your car the more money way, where 84% of sellers sold for more. Motorway. Validated against 2 independent sources. Visit motorway.co.uk/claims.
The British Red Cross is here to welcome people fleeing the conflict in Ukraine.
We're here to help people to safety when storms hit.
We're here to show anyone struggling that someone cares.
Oh yeah, that's a huge help.
We're here for humanity. With your support, the Red Cross has helped millions of people in the UK and 190 other countries. Search British Red Cross to support us. Together, we are the world's emergency responders.
The Hillary sale just got even better. Save up to 40% off hundreds of made-to-measure styles. Plus, book your appointment by the 20th of May for an extra 10% off everything, including our new collection of beautiful Roman blinds and curtains. Our advisors take care of all the measuring and fitting, and with blinds starting from just £50, that's a fabulous finish at great value. Book your free in-home appointment today. Visit hillarys.co.uk. Don't forget, Hillary's extra 10% off ends 20th of May. Conditions apply.
Nothing beats a Jet2 holiday. And right now, you can save up to £120 per couple. So, escape to sunny favourites like Greece, Portugal and Italy. And get 22 kilograms of baggage included. Book summer now with Jet2 Holidays. Package holidays you can trust. International protected. Subject to availability and conditions.
A long way to go from there to here on a day like when nothing works, you know?
Well, I managed it. You're here. People can do stuff when they want to. You know how we find out if it's really her? We go and look. Got it? Well, I'm going to go and see about keeping this place locked up until we get back. You try and find your balls while I get that sorted.
Ambulances going near Cosford. Do you think you could let me tag along?
Not like you send anything out that way. Sorry. Good luck.
We need to move quickly.
It's 20 along here.
With our plan. What's our plan? That's exactly it. What is our plan? We're small, but pebbles still make big ripples. We have to be smart, strike, and get away. We're in the camouflage of the oppressor. That's great. So, targets. Are there government offices in Birmingham? There's a big BBC building. They've pushed their agenda for long enough, that's for sure. Are we thinking big enough? We want the eyes of the world on us. We might not get many chances at this. We could change history. What's big enough to make the world sit up and notice?
Didn't they make the One Show here?
Control to all units, head to RAF Cosford. The PM's plane is there, plus a lot of press. Prioritise security. Repeat, if you're not in the middle of an accident, find me a map. RAF Cosford up the text the Prime Minister.
Pupillary assessment, both equal and reactive. 4 millimeters bilaterally. Do you feel sick at all, Mr. Cavalli? Like you might vomit?
It's very shocking.
Can you squeeze my hands for me now? And can you stop me from pushing down on them?
I've got to stop. I've got to stop.
Yes? And now just give them a call. Power's about 4 out of 5, no worse.
Mr. Cavalli, I need you to answer some questions.
I'm Bruce Willis.
You tried phoning your Chancellor last night, you remember that?
I think I was hit by a kebab shop.
You said you knew what the problem was.
Oh, yes.
What has happened? What was the problem?
Buying chocolate on my own on the science day.
No, not that.
A lonely egg. Everyone I ever clicked with never really liked me.
Mr. Cavalli, the money.
The money?
Where is it?
Inside the pocket. It was £17 chocolate. What?
All the money in the world is missing, and you said you knew why. Yes or no?
Yes.
I'll let you find her, mate. I'm gonna do one thing right today. I swear to God I will.
Hey! Hey! Where are you going? That's ours! Don't. I'm sick of everyone running out on me. Oh, my little.
Please stop. Oh, no. Not now. No. You're too much away. Stay in there. You're please. Oh,
I've scanned the phone. Can't take your call right now.
no. Oh.
Hello?
Adam. Oh, thank you.
Hello?
Can you...
Yeah, got you. This is Adam's phone. Leave a message. What's up?
Oh.
Hello?
Are you nearby? Do you still have the truck?
Wait, who is it?
It's Grace. I helped you and your friend earlier.
I've been trying to reach you.
Do you still have the truck?
What phone are you using?
Ross, my waters are broken. I'm having my baby. I need a bloody vehicle.
We're all just taking these huge changes in, but hearing this for the first time, this would be pretty shocking.
I don't want my church on there. I thought the really good thing I could do for the country is just 4 years of just sensible, normal stuff. I mean, isn't that what we all want? Some people might want things to be better. It wasn't really my mandate, though, was it? It was mostly no more of that other stuff. A lot less of the annoying things. They weren't even supposed to win the election. A protest vote isn't supposed to actually work.
If this Pascal Cavalli thing goes right, you might be able to go down to that podium and just list off all the things we're going to do to put Britain back on track.
I've got the man from MI5 on the phone. They're putting you through to Mr. Cavalli now. And, I need my vape back for a moment.
Oh, God, he's no help, is he?
Hello?
Is that Pascal Cavalli?
Mr. Pierre.
Mr. Cavalli?
Doctor. Yes. No, I am. Talking to the PA.
Oh, Dr. Cavalli, I understand you might be able to help us. You ran a scenario for a government think tank about what happens if all the money disappears.
That's right.
I was hoping we could hear some of your findings.
Yes, definitely don't let it happen. Chaos, awful stuff. I picked Saints Day, as you see. That's how I knew.
You what?
We ran a simulation. The main encounter, 2025, February 14th.
You came in at sometime in 1999, I'm told.
1999, that's years ago. How long have I been unconscious?
What happened in this simulation?
We left it on.
How do you mean?
A war game.
Nobody turned it off?
It was frightfully clever. The machine, not us. Did anyone pick up the chocolate after I was run over?
The date you gave it was 14th of February 2025.
That's today, I think. It's not 1999 like that woman said.
Could it have acted out the scenario in real life if it had been unsupervised all this time?
It's frightfully clever. I'm tired, you know. I hit my head. Cavalli, I think we're going to have to call you back. Can you just...
Was anyone able to make sense of that?
You didn't listen to me when you had the chance. I was trying to be good. I was trying to do the right thing. Oh, you need to help me. Please.
You have to hang up. This is the phone. He knows where you are. He's already called looking for you.
But who is?
Your psycho husband.
Okay, so we have an actual government server somewhere.
Doing a thing that the government told it to do?
And by running this simulation and not turning it off properly, we've shot ourselves and the entire planet in the foot. This cannot be.
So is someone in the UK government responsible for the massive financial cyber hack? We'll find out in the final episode of Money Gone at the same time next Friday afternoon, or if you prefer, you can listen to the whole series right now on BBC Sounds.
The travel industry is booming. Global tourism is on the rise, and I'm not surprised. The excitement of discovering a new place is a feeling like no other. But here's the thing. Are we ruining the natural beauty, local communities and attractions we seek out so keenly? I'm Rajan Datar. Having explored the world, I'm now exploring how we can stop over-tourism, protect destinations and the environment from the negative impacts of travel. The Tourist Trap, with me, Rajan Datar, starting on Monday morning at 11 on BBC Radio 4 and BBC Sounds.
Well, now, in Child, India Rakeson examines infant motor development and asks whether milestones are a thing of the past.
What is exciting and why do I think infant movement is so beautiful and brilliant? A lot of the time it's just watching a baby discover some simple thing for the first time, and it's happening in our lab and we're capturing it on videotape.
There's something about movement in babies that is spellbinding. The tentative shuffle of a foot, the rocking of knees.
Sometimes it's something I've never seen before, but often it's something that this baby has never done before and that that parent has never seen before. You know, and it's a joyful thing that we get to share in that, you know, that revelation and in that discovery with the parent. It's really everything.
Babies begin with those kicks and rolls in the womb, to lying in arms for weeks, reaching and pushing, but not on the move. And then, bit by bit, for many, their little arms and legs switch into gear, and suddenly the opportunity for movement and discovering the world on their terms begins.
Everyone had always believed that babies, like adults, are moving because they have some goal, they have some destination in mind. And it turns out that's not the case at all. You can put a baby in a completely empty room and they still run around just as much as in a room filled with toys.
Karen Adolph is Professor of Psychology and Neuroscience at the New York University Action Lab and is renowned for her research in infant motor development. She spends a lot of time looking at the ways that babies move, watching them approach drop-offs, attempt slopes, perceive the space around them.
No one really knows why babies take their first crawling or walking steps, or make their first reach, or any other skill for that matter.
One of the big first forms of movement in many babies is crawling.
these little beings start to use their hands and knees to sort of scuttle across the ground. And it's fascinating. This human compulsion to reach out, to go forward in whatever way we can. So it's not surprising that baby motor skills is an area that's been examined and charted significantly over the years. These very physical, tangible moments, which some might call milestones.
The problem with this kind of view of motor development is that it implies that there's an obligatory age-related sequence that every baby in every culture, everywhere in the world, has to do.
I'm India Rackson, and you're listening to Child from BBC Radio 4, episode 23, Crawling.
He's about a week and a half ago started to try and take steps, so that's another exciting developmental stage for him. He's been crawling since he was about 6 months old, so yeah, that's been fun.
So we're at 9 months old now, and by this point, a baby might be crawling, maybe standing and walking with assistance, or even alone. But they are not all doing the same things.
Does it matter if different babies learn to move in different ways? So my friend's kid was an absolute bum shuffler, and we loved him for it. Brilliant. Some people do tripod crawling. There's all different types, aren't there?
There's no good evidence that doing any of it matters once they start walking. What there is good evidence for is that a mobile baby, a baby who can get around however they figure out how to do it, has different opportunities for learning than a baby who is stationary. Does it matter whether you get those opportunities at 8 months or 10 months or 12 months? Probably not.
But what most parents can attest to is that expectation can weigh really heavy when raising a child. We can easily get anxious about what our babies can and can't do, and that could come from your own parents, your friends, or the society around you.
Cultural norms feed into parents' expectations. What should a healthy, typically developing baby do at this point in their life? And then parents set up the environment and their own interactions to make those things come to fruition. Western cultures value literacy, and that feeds into parents' expectations that reading is good and that you should teach your child how to read. And so we begin reading to our babies. Some people are reading to their fetus in their belly, or reading to our newborns and neonates long before we expect that they can glean anything specific from the pictures or the words. So it's the same thing with motor development. If your culture thinks it's important to ride a bike, your 2-year-old will be riding a bike, or if you're in Northern Europe, your 2-year-old will be on skis. So all of this is very culturally situated and historically situated.
And that also goes for different outlooks on early physical movement. So the NHS advice is to be really careful of a baby's neck until they can support it on their own.
But in other cultures, the babies are forced to support their own limbs or their own head against gravity. And all of that is making the baby stronger and giving the baby better balance control.
Here's another great example. Karen and her team looked at the expectations of caregivers in the 1980s in Cameroon. The caregivers had such strong expectations about how well their babies could sit that they would leave their 5-month-olds perched on adult-sized furniture, like a bench, and then leave the room to do things. And although leaving children in high places is not something that's recommended, it intrigued Karen.
I remember watching that with my colleagues, and we were thinking,
what? I left my 2.5-year-old on the kitchen counter for like 1 minute when I made some toast the other day, and I was going, don't move, don't move, don't move.
No, but the caregivers' expectations, neatly matched onto what their babies really could do and would do. So in, the hundreds of hours of video, we never saw a baby fall off a high place.
That's amazing.
And here's another form of expectation I think we'll all be familiar with: milestones.
You might have seen baby milestone charts where different stages of an infant's development are marked along increasing months. Things like holding your head up, sitting, crawling, walking. They help paediatricians and caregivers know what skills a child should have developed by a certain age. But just how helpful or even unhelpful milestones actually are is increasingly being questioned.
The problem with this kind of view of motor development is that it implies that there's an obligatory age-related sequence that every baby in every culture, everywhere in the world, has to do. The average baby is no baby at all. It's a statistic. It's not a real person. Real babies can exhibit various skills in various orders. They can skip skills, they can revert to old skills, and so on.
And another problem with milestones.
It assumes that there's like some day, some point in this baby's history when before that point the baby couldn't do the skill, and then after that point the baby could do the skill. As if motor skill acquisition is like turning on a faucet. Skills sort of sputter into an infant's repertoire. And crawling in particular is not a good way to think about a milestone because crawling is so variable and it's so hard to define. If it's not a reliable measure, then it's not going to help you to do any kind of diagnostic or anything that would forward public health, right? And that's why the U.S. Center for Disease Control has dropped crawling from their index of so-called milestones.
Crawling was dropped by the CDC in February 2022, a move that was greeted with varied reactions. Many agreed with Karen's point and noted that in some cultures, including our own, babies don't always crawl before they walk. But others argue that crawling should happen before walking. And if it doesn't, it's a red flag that something else might be wrong with, say, their feet or their reflexes.
They believe this so much that they will provide therapy to teach older children who maybe have cerebral palsy or some kind of a developmental disability to crawl before they're encouraging these children to stand up and face the world upright.
Of course, the Centre for Disease Control and Prevention aren't the only people to have laid out milestones. In 2006, the World Health Organization published their multi-centre growth reference study, which showed windows of achievement for 6 gross motor milestones for infants.
That was the first attempt of the World Health Organization to really try to standardize a way to capture development.
This is Dr. Vanessa Cavallera. She's a medical doctor working in the Brain Health Unit at the World Health Organization. Who were the babies that this 2006 data set was built on? Because this is the World Health Organization. How broad was that data set?
That data set was about 800 children, and it was data collected from 5 different countries.
800 children from 5 countries doesn't seem like a lot to me, in that, you know, if you think about the cultural diversity across the nearly hundreds of countries that we have on this planet, that strikes me as quite small to develop global similarities.
What is happening now is that we agree that it was not rigorous enough in a sense. It was rigorous for the purpose of what it was. It was not a standard at the time. That was not the purpose of that study. Now, this is what we're doing. So now we're in 12 countries, covering all regions of the world, and we're collecting data on over 4,000 children.
So, 18 years on, and things are changing at the World Health Organization.
We're actually moving away from milestones. We're actually moving into more formalized assessment. So we're really moving towards holistic assessment of children.
They're currently working on sets of normative curves like you might see for height and weight, coupled with individual focus questions to help monitor child development. The aim is to find a better way for paediatricians to identify when children might require intervention and support.
So the idea is that creating the standard, this is what every child can aim to achieve. And this is our responsibility to take them there. It's actually measurement for us is holding decision makers, policy makers, implementers accountable because if you have no data, there's no action. So you need to know how things are going, so you know how to intervene. You know, the percentage of children under 5 that are on or off track, governments are asked to report on this so that interventions can be made. I would say it's an achievement that this has become something that governments are requested to report on. It's a shift because I think the idea was always that child development was too complex. And it is complex, but there are ways to measure it, there are ways to intervene, and if we're not taking action, it's on us.
Vanessa tells me these new normative curves should be published in 2026. It feels like a way away, but there are new resources that can already be used. Meanwhile, of course, the milestone charts are still on the website and in doctors' rooms too.
I don't think they're obsolete overall. The message is use them to observe your child.
They can be a helpful way to spot developmental delays or raise a flag.